Recently, we caught up with this local musician and an advocate for the arts.
Sure. So my name's Dan Fear, or Daniel. Either one is fine. I'm currently the fine arts coordinator for Farmington Municipal Schools, and I've been in that position for about 5 years. Prior to that, I taught band and orchestra at Heights, and was the assistant band director at Piedra Vista High School for 17 years. Lots of music, lots of good trips, lots of great memories, and lots of fun students. I started at PV the second year it was open. So this is my first gig straight out of college, and I went to college at New Mexico State University. Go Aggies.
Go Aggies.
You're wearing a Greyhounds cap.
And I am. I'm wearing a Greyhounds cap. That's where I got my master's degree from, and that band director likes to share his swag with me, so.
Fair enough.
We have a lot of our kids that end up going to Eastern, so it's cool. When I was a kid, I would listen to the classic radio station in my bedroom and stand on the foot of my bed at 8 or 9 and conduct the radio. And it was awesome. And so I think that was where it really kind of instigated itself. Neither of my parents were really musicians, but they had great taste in music, and we listened to a little bit of everything. And I just loved conducting the orchestra off of the radio on the foot of my bed. So it was really cool.
That is cool.
And when I got to high school, I started playing tuba and started getting some lessons on it, working on it a lot more. Did some solos, did really good on the solos. Did a couple of auditions for honor bands, and I made it into All-State. And I was like, man, this is kind of cool. I think I might have a knack for this. This might be what I want to do. And so I auditioned at New Mexico State, got into the tuba studio there, and 5 years later I came out with a music ed degree. My master's is in administration because I wanted to be able to get into the administrative side of the district, and that's what led me to being the fine arts coordinator. So I have an administration certificate to be the fine arts coordinator, which is an administrative job. So I always loved just making music, and making music with kids was the next logical step. To do that, I'll still get asked to come out and do clinics with the local schools, Farmington, Bloomfield, Aztec. I work with all those schools, and I've been an honor band clinician where it's just me and the kids for 2 days, and we do a concert. Still an active performer outside of this public schools. I play with Celebration Brass, which is the resident brass ensemble at First Presbyterian Church. I also play with the Southwest Civic Winds, which is a community ensemble based out of Durango. I'm also on the board of that group, so.
That's really awesome.
And I've played with the Great Western Rocky Mountain Brass Band. I've played with Kisma Brass for years and years during the 4th of July. Yep, always have kept playing. Play with Soundwood College all the time. So I've always enjoyed doing some arranging on the side as well, which is taking somebody else's music and writing it for the group of instruments that you have available to you or what have you. Our composers have always done that as well. They write for what's available. And I wasn't able to play with a large group of people, but I still had the hankering to put together some pieces of music. Having a fairly religious background, I chose some hymns and went and picked hymns out that were old enough to be in the public domain that I could pretty much do whatever I wanted with, and arranged them for tuba duet, and then I recorded myself playing both parts and edited it together and put together a little triptych. Well, what I had available to me was myself and my tuba, so I was going to arrange music that I liked, that I could share easily, and that I could pull off. So we did A Balm in Gilead, Be Thou My Vision, which is actually a Celtic prayer, and Down by the River. I think, first of all, you have to have a love of all music. And second of all, you have to be willing to put in the work. Whether that to be as an educator, to be as a performer, to be as an arranger or a composer, and willing to have that growth mindset that, hey, this is going to be hard, and you're going to put out stuff that sucks, and then it's going to get better. And people are going to like what's better, and they're going to forget and ignore what sucks, so don't worry about it. As we've gotten into the last few years, we've really tried to make our classrooms and what we teach in our classrooms, both musically and personally and socially and emotionally, reflect the students that are in our classrooms. I didn't have that problem when I was growing up. You know, I was a white kid in a pretty white town, and so we played a lot of white composers. And as that's where I started my career at. And as I've grown in my career, it's definitely broadened out, and I've found a lot of cool and neat and interesting stuff from a lot of people that don't look like me. And they look more like the students in my classroom, so I've been very excited to share that with them. And their eyes just light up when they see something like that. They're like, yeah, I can see me in what we're doing. Right now, my most pertinent issue is trying to get kids to be able to sing and play in class as we start up school next week, over the next 2 weeks. Beyond that, I just keep trying to make sure that all of the arts, because I'm the arts coordinator, so I also work with the visual arts as well, all of the arts are available to all of our students. And that's a challenging undertaking and something that it takes a lot of work to do. There's all the research, and there's plenty of good research that says students will do better academically because of the arts. And I'm all for that. I want kids to succeed academically. But I also want kids to be whole. I want them to be able to express themselves in a safe and positive manner. And you can learn doing that through the arts. You know, I don't really maintain an active playlist. Probably what I've been listening to most lately is the Marine Band, President's Own Marine Band in Washington, D.C. And their marches, I'm a huge march fan. And they've, over the last several years, been releasing all of the Sousa marches, every single one of them. They're up to volume 5, and I think there's 7 volumes planned. So I like to listen to all of those. I also have been listening to Carol Jansch. She's the principal tuba player for the Philadelphia Orchestra. And I follow her on Facebook, and she's been putting out quite a bit of stuff lately, so I've been listening to the stuff she's been doing.
Cool.
In fact, it was really neat, and then you'll dig this. She played a violin sonata on the tuba with dancers from one of the local dance companies in Philadelphia in this park. They choreographed it, and it was 3 dancers and her. She played the suite, and these 3 dancers had choreographed a dance, socially distanced in this park in Philadelphia.
Yep, that's
It was
me.
absolutely fantastic. Really, just find whatever it is you want to create and do it. And remember to come back to that growth mindset and just get rid of the stuff that's not very good and keep building on the stuff that is. If I can inspire somebody to just do something, that was kind of one of my goals. It was like, despite having to collaborate with basically myself, I was still able to come up with something musical and put something musical out. And that a few other people will enjoy. All 10 of them. Do something creative. We have a vibrant arts community in the Four Corners.
Right.
That's probably a more difficult question than how do I advocate for arts and education?
Sure.
Because how do you promote yourself? And I think the project that you guys have undertaken with the Facebook page is probably definitely one of those things that really helps do that branding and do that communication of the groups that are available. Like I said, I'm on the board for the Southwest Civic Winds, and we have a monthly meeting, and that probably occupies 15 to 20 minutes. How do we keep getting our name out there? How do we keep letting people know that we're out there? How do we draw people into our concerts if people don't know what we're doing? And it's just finding the right people, finding those connections, making those networks, and really learning how to market and brand and network with people.
Yeah.
Finding the right people to hook up with. And I think that's the same thing for joining any music community. Because we're not talking about the New York Phil here where there's 15 of you auditioning for one chair. And people that's their jam and that's their jive, I think they're going to search it out. The other end of that is when you do have that product ready to go out, how do you get it out and how do you reach people with it?
Sure.
Creating a bigger voice.
Right.
Because and it comes back to that community. Everybody has their own neighborhood in that community. I think it's kind of where we're going, and you've got to pull those neighborhoods together to create a bigger voice.
Sure.
I'm also on the chair of the Connie Gotts Arts Foundation, and that's one of the things that we work to do as well. Connie was a a radio personality at KSJE at the college for a long time, and was a passionate supporter of all the arts in San Juan County. And that was her mission, that was her goal, and she left it to a small group of people to say, hey, this is what I want you to do. Continue to make the arts as great as you can in San Juan County. And so that's what we try and do by supporting artists that send us applications and grants. And so feel free to reach out to me if you want a Connie Gotch grant. I will be happy to send you an application. You know, even though we've had difficulties over the last year, an artist is going to